Welcome back to Orange County Live. We're discussing how to encourage success in the classroom. Returning on this segment is Dr. Vicki Cartwright, Orange County Public Schools Senior Executive Director of Exceptional School Education, Kristen Iannuzzi, Teacher of the Year, and joining us is Melanie May, the Orange County Public School Exceptional Student Education Director of Curriculum. Now we want you to join our conversation by calling 407-685-LIVE. That's 407-685-5483. Or you can go online to orangetvfl.net and click on the chat button. We've dedicated this segment to talking about scholastic achievement. So Melanie, I want to start off with you because we've heard a lot about Common Core, Florida Core, FCAT. Can you kind of explain the process for measuring how well a student does that we are using now?
Okay, we are actually using the Florida standards, and that is how we will transition over from our FCAT or our Sunshine State standards over to our Florida standards. And we're really looking at two big areas, which would be language arts and mathematics. So that's the primary focus this year.
So how will this new system kind of impact students?
Well, there'll be a new assessment, and parents will have the opportunity to review those assessments. They can do that online now. The Florida Department of Education has been very transparent about providing opportunities for parents to give input when we transitioned over to Common Core or Florida standards. They also have provided opportunities for practice tests at fsassessments.org. And students can go on as well and take practice tests so they kind of know what the end in mind.
So, and I'm sure that is very helpful because I think that there's a lot of stress involved on not just the student but also the parent when it comes to testing.
Exactly. They're unsure. They remember what it was like when they were in school, but how are we doing it now? And they want to be involved. So these are opportunities for them to be involved and to talk to their child so that the child feels comfortable when they go into a testing environment.
So as a teacher, how do you get your students comfortable with testing and being measured in that way? Not just, you know, their writing, but really kind of choosing the right answer or knowing the right answer.
Yeah, you know, it starts with understanding that it's going to be a growing process. And, you know, as we adapt to the new standards of rigor and as we grow, that they're going to learn. And again, that we encourage them to go ahead and make mistakes now. It's okay, we'll fix it, but that's how you grow and learn.
And how does technology kind of play a role in all of this? Because I don't know, do they still use chalkboards?
This is the I generation. That's what by all stretch of the imagination. You know, these are digital natives. They were born with the world at their fingertips, quite literally, and you know they don't know how I got through high school without Google. So for them, technology is a huge component of their lives, of all of our lives now. So it's imperative that we use it in our instruction to keep them engaged, but also to push them towards being competitive in college and in the workforce.
So how do you use it in your classroom?
We do a whole bunch of things, including I've done QR scans where they can scan it with their phone, and sometimes it's a review question. Sometimes it's character loading where they can match characters, and it offers them just a different way that they can assess information and learn information and then pull it up on their phones and keep it recorded there.
I remember the days when you couldn't have your phone in the classroom, but I guess you can now.
Now it's a necessity.
Now we use them as teaching tools.
Wow,
Exactly.
that is amazing. I'm sure that presents its own challenges though, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
It does. You know, you want to make sure that they're using it for instruction and again, using it responsibly.
Speaking about testing, a lot is at stake for students, especially if they're trying to get into college. So what is the pressure like? How can parents and teachers kind of help their students as they're entering that phase of their life where they're graduating from high school and moving on to college?
A lot of it is just being very supportive, being supportive of the children, making sure that when they come home, if they have homework, making sure that they're doing their homework, helping them if they have questions, if they don't know the answers to it, which oftentimes with the different type of curriculums that are out there is very possible, expressing those concerns to the teacher, saying, you know, where can we get some additional resources? Because with technology nowadays, there are a lot of resources that are out there. But building that environment to where you want to try to keep the pressure off just a little bit, but enough pressure to encourage them and to keep them motivated. So it's a fine balance.
So what does it take to excel and to get accepted?
honestly, there's three main components. It's going to be your GPA and your test scores, but the third component, and I think what is oftentimes missed, is those extracurricular activities. Colleges are so competitive nowadays, they're literally looking for a well-rounded student. So whether they're participating in sports or clubs or volunteering, looking for the student that does something in the community and does something besides excel in the classroom. So those three tiers are what I encourage my students to get involved in. And it also, getting them involved in extracurricular activities keeps them out of trouble and keeps them in a positive direction.
And I guess a lot of peer pressure goes along those lines as well, as students are trying to get their academic achievement, but fit in all of these other activities as well.
Right. And I think it takes up a substantial amount of time. And sometimes, these extracurricular activities, they may be swayed by their friends to go, hang out or go do something, so it pulls them away from something that's positive.
But one of the other things it does is it helps with organizational skills and time management, which are all skills they're going to need when they go to college.
Oh, absolutely. Did
Absolutely.
you want to chime in?
I was also going to say a lot of times when colleges are looking, they're looking at the rigor of the courses for which the students are enrolled in. So one of the things that we're looking at as a district is going in and having our students take advanced placement courses at a younger grade level, because oftentimes when I attended school, you didn't take AP courses until maybe your senior year or possibly your junior year, and now we're looking at being able to bring those students into those more rigorous courses at a younger grade level and exposing them to those curriculums in hopes to help prepare them even more for college.
Does that count as college credit as well?
If they pass the
Yeah,
AP
it
exam.
can. Yes, it can.
How so?
Because the tests have thresholds or graded, and the college that they are applying to may have reciprocal agreements with that testing score, so they would be able to earn college credit. That's one of the other things, is knowing where you want to go to school or have an idea and find out what your college will accept and what they're encouraging their incoming freshmen to take.
We have a caller, so let's see what Alex, what his question is from Orlando. Hi, Alex.
Hi, thank you for taking my call. If I choose to homeschool my children, does the public school provide any cooperation?
Oh, that's a good question on homeschooling. Anyone want to take that?
There are a lot of different resources. We do have a homeschool department where you would want to register with the homeschool department, and they provide information for parents who want to homeschool, because there are different things that they can do as well. For example, they could not, in addition to doing home instruction or homeschooling, they could also do like the Orange County Virtual School simultaneously, so that way the student remains within the curriculum itself.
Okay. Melanie, you touched on something a couple moments ago that I found interesting, which is this whole idea of getting into college and knowing where you want to go. I think that's a lot of pressure. How do students kind of figure that out so early?
Yeah, I think through guidance services, having conversations with their parents and with their teachers, their valuable resources, getting that information, asking questions, being involved in college fairs, going online. There's so many resources. They can find out about any college, not even the one down the street. It could be any school. So that really gives them the opportunity then to set those high academic goals, because they want maybe to go to Harvard. So they want to know what are the entrance criteria for Harvard, and they can sort of work backwards in making sure that they're meeting those milestones, and they have an opportunity to go anywhere.
What if your student doesn't have those high expectations just yet? They need a little more time. How do you inspire students to be successful and I guess more ambitious really in their approach to higher education?
We actually have a wonderful program that we implement in Orange County called our AVID program. And within our AVID program, it takes those students and really exposes them to the different possibilities beyond school for college, and prepares them for what that experience is and what those career opportunities are, and really gives them a lot of that support system as well from an academic standpoint, as well as some of the basic things of, how do you study? How do you organize yourself in order to be prepared for success? And so that's a program, that's one venue that we take advantage of to help those students.
So how do you organize? How do you get your student on that step to success? What are some of your top tips, I guess? Anyone?
I would just say, get them, they need to understand their own value first. They need to understand that they have a sense of self-worth and they have something to offer this world so much beyond that they can even think that they're capable of. And if you can get them to believe in themselves, that sets off a whole new inspiration that, oh, well, maybe I can go to college even though no one else in my family has. Maybe I can do something beyond what I'm expected of. And I just honestly think it starts with believing in themselves, and it doesn't matter if they start at like a Valencia or a smaller school. It's all about what's right for that student.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And, in addition to that is also taking advantage of some of the technology that is out there today. There are so many different things that students already know how to do on their iPhones. And so it's when they're in class, making sure that they know they have an assignment due that's coming up, putting it into their iPhone on the calendar so that they can help self-monitor for assignments, those kind of things. Parents being involved by maybe accessing Progress Book online so that they can see when projects are due, those kind of things. So there are a variety of different techniques and a lot of ways in which you can utilize our current resources to help our students be successful.
And also to use the technology to support their learning style. Because I may learn better with visual information. So knowing that I can go back after my class and get a visual support that will help me to get the knowledge.
It's about knowing your student, really.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And they've done.
Go ahead.
They did research on this generation that they do better with short bursts of information, and they can't really sit through a 45-minute lecture. So it's all about understanding and adapting to those short spurts of energy and direction.
Makes you wonder how Facebook kind of plays into that whole concept as well then. Getting quick information on that timeline. Well, let's check in with Carol and see what's going on in the chat room. Carol?
Thank you, Laureen. We started off this segment about what you would use to measure to see how well your student is doing in their academics. We talked a little bit about tutoring. Is that something as parents you use? Is that face-to-face? Is that online? That probably depends on how your child best learns. And then we've had some questions from some of our chat room viewers about FCAT and how effective that is to measure the education system, but not sure if that should be the measuring stick or tool for our students. So a lot of great questions, a lot of great dialogue on this, such an important topic. And we still want to hear from you. We have some time left. OrangeTVFL.net. Join this conversation. Very important discussion. Thanks, Laureen.
All right, thank you, Carol. So what do you say to parents or to students who say, well, I'm just not a good test taker? What do you say to them? How can you help them through the tests that they're going to have to take, not just in high school, but then when they do go on to college?
Yeah, test anxiety is definitely a real concern for many of our students. The things that we encourage our students, all of our students to do, but especially for those students who suffer from test anxiety, is to be as comfortable as possible. And there are different type of skills that you can implement to help you overcome some of the anxiety. For example, we want to make sure that they get a good breakfast, but you want to do that on a regular basis regardless. You don't want to do anything completely out of the norm on test days, but you definitely want to make sure that they've eaten well before they go, because the research shows us that children who eat well, nourishing foods definitely do well academically or better. And getting the good night's sleep and making sure that you do that on a regular basis, because children need their sleep. And oftentimes when they're going through a lot of their growth spurts that they do go through as children, their sleeping schedules can get off. And so it's really, as a parent, really monitoring that and really helping children to understand, no, you need to go to bed. It's time to do those things. But those are some of the things that you can do that will help. The teachers do an awful lot in the classroom to help our students as well with the test anxiety. I'm sure you have some of the things that you can share even.
Yeah, it's giving them an opportunity to know that this test doesn't define them. One test, one assessment does not define who they are. And I think that's important, not just for the tests in my classroom, but for the FCAT and the new tests coming down the pipe, for the SAT, the ACT. Those don't measure how smart or wonderful you are. It measures how good you are at taking that assessment. So as long as they understand that, hopefully it takes off a bit of the pressure, because it's one test and that's not who they are.
We have just a few minutes left in this segment, but I wanted to ask you ladies, I'm sure that you learn just as much from the students as they learned from you.
Absolutely. And if anything, as Kristen was mentioning earlier, is just with the technology, where they're natives to this. A lot of times, I know my child comes home oftentimes with these wonderful different apps, and I'm learning things from him all the time with those. As well as coping skills. You know, a lot of times when something does happen, how do they cope with that? And it helps me to learn from those skills, and me being collective as the organization, because it helps us really understand how children are able to deal with different situations, so that we're able to help those children who don't have those skills.
All right. Any final thoughts?
I definitely agree. So, yeah, that's well put.
Yeah. Supporting your kids, having conversations, knowing the things that they're doing in the classroom and what you can do to help. There's a lot of resources out there for parents and for students.
All right, well, thank you so much for being with us. We really appreciate your time, and we hope that you found this program informative. Orange County Live is a monthly program on the fourth Wednesday of every month at 7 p.m., so mark your calendars. You can also follow Orange County on Facebook or Twitter to stay in touch. It's been great being with you. The questions that we couldn't get to during this live program will be answered by phone or email. And let me take this opportunity to thank all of our panelists for taking part in tonight's program, and thank you for watching and being part of Orange County Live. Be sure to join us next month and connect with your Orange County government.